This is the 𝗀𝗶𝗶𝗀 Retirement Village, one of 12 similar retirement estates built by brothers and property developers Willem and Billy Steyn. The estates are collectively marketed under the Belvedere Retirement Villages brand. None of the residents here own the units they occupy. Instead, they've all signed life rights agreements with the Belvedere Group.
With a life rights agreement, you never own the property. You have the use of it until you pass on or move on, possibly to a frail care facility. And to many elderly people, it seemed like a golden opportunity.
Especially since residents are supposed to get the full amount they paid for their life rights back once the unit has been sold by the Belvedere Group. According to the agreements, the developers in turn are entitled to any profits they make off the sales. Leanne Silver's mother, Shirley, was one of the residents at 𝗀𝗶𝗶𝗀.
Leanne, tell us about your mom.
She was quite a dynamic little old lady. She did a lot of things in her life. She worked hard, but family and being there for everyone, that's what she was. She was there for everyone.
Sadly, her mother, who'd been ill for some time, passed away in February last year from kidney failure.
It just all happened so suddenly. Suddenly, she just quickly, within 24 hours, she passed. The kidney just failed, then the liver failed, and the doctor said there was no hope of her recovering.
Shirley had paid 777,000 rands for her life rights in 𝗀𝗶𝗶𝗀. And after some deductions due to the developers, Silver says her estate was supposed to receive just over 700,000 rands from the sale.
It was meant to be that I wouldn't have to wait when she had died. They would have an incentive to sell the property, and it all looked so wonderful in a package. And in the contract itself, it said 30 days you would be paid out. So it sounded wonderful and rosy.
The exact wording from the contract says payment will be made only after 30 days from the date the new occupant has paid the new loan amount to the developer in full. But although the unit was sold in July of 2020, Silver says they've never received the money they're owed.
And I've tried to phone them, and I've tried to confirm dates with them. I get the brush off from them. They'll ask, they'll find out.
In desperation, she turned to lawyer 𝗀𝗶𝗶𝗀, who her mother had appointed as the executor in her estate. After he'd made several inquiries about when the payment could be expected, he received this emailed response from the Belvedere Group's attorney on the 5th of November last year.
Good day. On behalf of the developer, we sincerely apologise for the delay in finalising this matter. The repayment of the loan amount was due on the 25th of September 2020. So on their own version, they're saying we should have paid you at that date.
Nearly a year after her mother passed away, the money is still outstanding. Silver says a portion of it was meant to go to her adopted niece and nephew.
But mostly for my adopted niece and nephew, Kayla and Joshua. So she was most concerned that they would get some money and that they would have an education. They have stolen her whole life's work. It's a disgrace. It really is a disgrace.
Mike Cunningham's mother, Bernice, also had a life rights agreement in the 𝗀𝗶𝗶𝗀 Retirement Village. By the end of 2019, she could no longer take care of herself and moved into frail care. As agreed, the Belvedere Group put her unit up for sale.
Now, has her unit at 𝗀𝗶𝗶𝗀 been sold?
Yes, it has been sold. People actually took occupation in July of 2020.
But Cunningham says his mother hasn't seen the 1.25 million rands she's owed from the sale.
And they paid 1.75 million for the place. And I've got that documentation in front of me.
The Steyn brothers agreed to an interview with us. We met them at the 𝗀𝗃𝗃 Retirement Village, which they also own. Present were members of the different bodies corporate from the retirement villages, as well as their own camera crew. Willem Steyn said the Belvedere Group consisted of 12 retirement villages, each owned by a trust.
You are on the list of trustees for virtually every unit.
I am basically on, I would say, half, at least a half of them, and Billy is probably on the other half, more or less.
Both brothers are trustees of the 𝗀𝗶𝗶𝗀 Trust, which owns the 𝗀𝗶𝗶𝗀 Village.
According to your contracts, you say you will pay people out within 30 days of their units being sold and paid for by the new owners.
According to our contract, we said that we will pay after 30 days. So you must just make sure that the nuances is right.
But that's not always how it's explained to potential buyers. This voice recording of a phone call to one of 𝗶𝗶𝗴𝗶𝗴's sales agents was made earlier this week.
After it's sold, when the money comes in, 1 calendar month after that, you get paid out.
Okay, all right. No, that seems fair.
You heard it. 1 calendar month afterwards, you'll be paid out. Being told to a possible client this week. It's not what you're telling me now.
Yeah, but that's our intention, Derek, and we really strive to do that. We are currently in different times economically.
Because we are in difficult times, agents shouldn't be making those promises.
I will, in that case, speak to my agents.
The Steins don't deny owing the money to 𝗀𝗲𝗃𝗀𝗃 or Bernice Cunningham.
You're absolutely right, Derek. They should have been paid, but they are not yet paid, but they will be paid.
Despite the Steins having been paid in both cases and made profit off the sales, they say the COVID-19 pandemic has put a severe strain on their cash flow.
We, as Willem also explained, we're still struggling to get funds in terms of normal operation from last year with COVID, lockdowns with council, lockdowns with the deeds office, etc.
But for brothers Gavin and Daryl Den Heyer, that's not a valid excuse. They say they've been struggling to get their mother Sheila's payment out of the 𝗶𝗶𝗴𝗶𝗴 group since she passed away in 2017, many years before the COVID pandemic hit South Africa.
The contract was very clear, and we had to wait 30 days after the money was in, and then we would be paid out. And that came and it went, and we carried on. I sent mails, we tried to get hold of them, we just had no luck, and nothing came back to us.
After a year of trying, the brothers approached Schindler's attorneys. Associate Andrew Laurie is acting on their behalf. He approached the court for a summary judgment against the Harvison Trust.
If you have good grounds to believe the defendant has no real defense and that they're just trying to buy time, you can go for summary judgment.
The trust offered to settle the matter before the case appeared in court. According to the settlement, the trust would pay out the sum of R1,115,000 in 5 installments between August and December of 2019.
The settlement agreement was made in order of court, mind you, so this wasn't just an agreement between two people. This is a court-stamped document, a court order.
But despite a High Court order, no payments have been forthcoming.
This goes back 4 years, way before COVID.
That is probably so. But they choose to litigate. And the problem is with
only
litigation.
Out of frustration, Willem.
Yeah, well,
but why this case?
Derek,
why didn't you pay them?
Well,
is there a reason?
Okay, let's go back. Let's take a snapshot, and that's what we're doing here today. We're talking about 2, 3, 4, 20 people right now that's not been paid. So
that's 20 too many, Willem. That's 20 too many. That's 20 families waiting to be paid out, or elderly people waiting to pay for frail care.
That is 2% of the business.
A business that seems well protected by its cleverly structured trusts.
Willem, it's alleged that you are using this complex network of trusts to provide you with legal protection and to make it costly and difficult for anyone who owes money to take you to court.
Correct, Derek.
He says the retirement villages are worth billions and he needs to protect his assets.
Is more than 2 billion rand, if I look at that. There's no ways that anybody will open himself to any creditor or coming from the outside.
2 billion rands?
On the retirement villages, yes. And the question is, you're going to ask me, why do I don't pay people back? There's a difference between assets and cash flow.
And everybody's going to say, Willem is stinking rich, he could pay these people today.
So I hope to do it as soon as I can.
So you are stinking rich.
I am not rich, I'm wealthy.
Wealthy.
Yeah, okay. Stinking wealthy.
The Den Heyers, Mike Cunningham and 𝗀𝗲𝗃𝗀𝗃, all taking further legal action. But it's been a bitter pill to swallow for family members not lucky enough to be sitting on assets worth billions of rands.
My sister's children need this money. It's not as if they are millionaires, they're not. They need this money.